This is CHESTNUT. He's killing it for the JV men. Off CHESTNUT goes on to win it well.
The time has come for Jessica and Mary and the Trust to embark on a commercial venture. You've got some incredible blood, and it's so nice for the public at large, and even if for the international market, to be able to acquire some of these fantastic MAURITZFONTEIN pedigrees.
Andrew, it's probably, to put it mildly, mind-boggling, the excitement of it, to launch from a basis of the MAURITZFONTEIN legacy, which has been around for somewhat pretty close to 70 years. And the background of a Triple Crown winner, a Triple Tiara winner, a myriad of July winners, a myriad of Oaks winners, horses like Horse Chestnut. And it may sound a little on the arrogant side, but it's quite flash to be able to share that legacy with the prospective buyers. You know, it's really nice having people like Jess and Mary at the helm. You know, they're international players in no small sense of the word. You know, Mary's got horses worldwide. Jess is as passionate and as positive about the horse business as anybody could be. And with that and the MAURITZFONTEIN legacy, pretty much a recipe for success.
Well, I think let's go back to grassroots level, because this morning out on the farm, we see a couple of illustrious names. I refer particularly to a horse like Hunting Tower, and of course Mr. Rawlings, and even Forest Path. They've got a very important function here.
We're a fairly unique stud farm in that we do things slightly differently. Maybe from the background of not having produced horses for the sales ring, we've always focused on the racetrack. So the way the horses are raised on this farm is very much aimed at that, and I personally don't think there should be a distinction between the sales ring and the racetrack. At the end of the day, we're all trying to produce decent racehorses. And I think this farm does have the edge with that we in excess of 6,000 hectares. For one, we maybe wean our foals quite a lot later than most stud farms. We don't wean until May, June, when we have our first frost. I personally feel that that gives the horses an edge mentally, where they're ready to be weaned. Then when we do wean them, we use the old timers that have done their time, like Forest Path and Hunting Tower and Mr. Rawlings and Solomon's Temple, etc., and whoever else may come from the track one day, as nannies to live with those yearlings until such time as they go into training or to the sales ring. You've seen the farm, our average size paddock is 100 hectares, which the horses spend all their days in. And I like to think by the time the horses get to the sale, any issues of soundness they had would have come out and they wouldn't be at the sale. So I personally feel that the trainer that buys a MAURITZFONTEIN horse is buying generally a pretty sound horse.
And of course, Mike de Kock has always talked about bone density. Now, it doesn't get much harder than it is over here. And I see the horses running around as if they're wild animals, even though they are used to being handled.
Yeah, you know, we handle our foals quite a lot when they're small babies. We don't handle our yearlings too much. As you've seen, they go out into 50 to 100 hectare paddocks every day. We sleep them inside post and rail enclosures just to keep them safe, because there is a lot of wildlife around. You know, you don't want a yearling getting a fright and jumping over a fence. But I feel that the way we raise them makes them, for the want of a better word, streetwise, where they're running around in hard ground, between thorn trees, over rocks, over rough terrain. And there's an old saying that it builds character, but in the stud manager. It can be nerve-wracking seeing 15 yearlings roaring into a 100 hectare paddock at 120. The kind of exercise they get, and just plainly the miles they put on, has to be good for their, as you said, bone density and muscle tone and tendon tone and generally soundness all over. You know, it's fairly common knowledge that very few of our horses ever show up shin sore. But we don't get too many injuries, and like I say, I'd rather have the injury on the farm than at the racetrack.
Now, from a nutrition perspective, obviously there's a lot of natural ground that they can graze on when there is sufficient rain, and it's been a very plentiful summer.
The last piece of the summer has been quite good. Our veld's looking pretty good at the moment. It does get dry. I don't think that's a downside. It keeps the area healthier. You know, the extremes in climate, very hot summers and very cold winters and fairly dry winters, does reduce our parasite and virus problem, which does make life a little bit easier. And the fact that the farm is fairly isolated from other horse studs and so on, we don't have a lot of the problems that some of the other farms have, being in close proximity to big numbers of horses. I personally think it's the best place in the world to raise horses.
And I think you have an added advantage of being in a financial position to have specific farms that grow specific products for you that other people can't get in times of difficulty.
Yeah, we've got a supplier in Douglas that supplies all of our hay. We use almost 500 tons of teff a year and maybe 50 tons of lucerne a year, a little bit of oat hay. And he produces all our feed at the beginning of the year. I tell him what I want, and through the year he supplies us consistently with as good hay as you can buy anywhere in the world.